Truly delighted to have your company here on Richard Mwenja Exclusive, your only point of call on matters, politics and governance analysis here in Kenya and across the region. Welcome on board. I'm Richard Mwenja. First things first, allow me introduce the gentleman who's going to help me bring the day's conversation home. He's none other than this renowned think tank, the first of his name, Professor Herman Manyora.
How are you?
How are you doing today?
Wonderful.
Such a nice shirt, huh?
Thank you. Thank
the
you.
alternative is a disaster. You have to look good.
Of course.
All right, sir. We are talking about the biggest subject in everywhere in Kenya right now. That is matters to do with our second in command, DP Rigathi Gachagua.
Correct.
It seems his goose has been cooked, ready to be served. He's now staring an impeachment. But let's begin here. In the event that this impeachment against our DP goes through, who is likely to suffer the consequences and at what time?
If Gachagua is impeached, and it is becoming increasingly clear that he could be impeached in terms of the numbers. You know, the politics and the numbers are there. The numbers, I think somebody has already manufactured the numbers. So the numbers could be there. So in terms of the consequences, like you rightly put it, there will be huge consequences.
Who could be the biggest casualty of it?
Ruto.
Our president?
Yes.
How soon is that likely to
There are two ways Ruto will suffer for this. You impeach Gachagua and you create enmity between you and the Mount Kenya people.
But he'll have Kindiki.
Now listen, Kindiki is not a replacement for Gachagua.
All right.
So far, none of these people can. You'll have enmity between you and the Mount Kenya people. I would want to remind President William Ruto that he got together with President Uhuru Kenyatta to ensure that what happened sometimes in 2007, 2008 is something we don't go back to. And they did a fantastic job of bringing two communities that had gone through fire. Two communities, the Kalenjin community and the Gema community. The two gentlemen, Ruto and Uhuru, brought these communities together. It was no mean task. I'm not saying there will be any trouble similar to what happened. But why would Ruto embark on a journey to undo perhaps the greatest thing he has ever done since he was born? Why would we want to undo? So the biggest, the first problem is he will create enmity between him and those of Mount Kenya, which by extension means you are easily able to, you could easily rekindle the trouble and the problems that even Ruto himself has alluded to in that famous clip between the Kalenjin and the Gema community. That's the first problem. The second problem that could face Ruto is the numbers. You are abandoning sure numbers kwenda kubahatisha. Hii kura ya Waluya na Wajaluo ni ya kubahatisha. And I've said it repeatedly.
Not a guarantee?
No. The Gema numbers were serious, solid numbers. These others, they have the numbers on paper. But on the ground, they don't register, they don't vote.
But now the president has Raila on his hands.
And which Raila, I'm telling you? They couldn't vote for Raila himself. How can they vote for a third party?
It is that bad.
700,000 Luos from the 4 Luo counties. I'm not talking of Nairobi Luos or Mombasa Luos. 700,000 Luos. Over 30% of registered voters in Migori, Siaya, Kisumu, and Homa Bay. The 4 Luo counties. And there are many Luos in Nairobi. I'm not talking about those. There are many Luos in Mombasa. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the 4 Luo counties. 700 out of 2.1. More than 30% did not vote for for Raila. How will he make them vote for a third party? And finally, the biggest problem, and which I wish to draw the attention of the president to, is that I've been in this country long enough to know one or two things. One of the things I know is that if you try to ignore the Luo in this country, you will not know peace.
Ignoring the Luo?
Yeah. From Jomo Kenyatta, Daniel Arap Moi, Mwai Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta, and now Ruto himself. Against all odds, against everything, he almost swore that he can never sit down with Raila to have a share government. Where is he now? You cannot ignore Luos in this country. There are not many numerically. They used to be number 2. Now they are about number 6 demographically. I'm telling you, the Luos are almost number. They can beat me. But the truth is, we have Kikuyu, Luya, and Luya is almost number 1. Kalenjin have overtaken the Luos. The Kambas are thinking about overtaking the Luos if they have not overtaken. The Luos are not that many. But, hey, my friend, I heard from Moi's own mouth saying, hii nyumba, we were at State House, we had gone to see him. Hii nyumba ikaliki, kama wajaluo napiga kelele kwa town. You can't ignore the Luos in this country and have peace if you are a president. And equally, you cannot ignore the Mount Kenya community. They have the pulse of the nation. They have the password to the economy of this country. And if they want to sabotage you as president, my friend will get into trouble.
But he has not ignored Mount Kenya because he's seeking to tap in the potential of Kimani, Shungu, and Ndindi Nyoro, Kithure Kindiki.
If you came to my house and you are dealing with my houseboy, you can't be dealing with me or my children. If it's not me, why not deal with my child, one of my children? You get my houseboy. If you are in Mount Kenya and you are not with Gachagua, you are with the Kindiki, you are dealing with the houseboy over the compound.
So by impeaching Gachagua, in 2027, Ruto could have written and published his political obituary.
Of course. And he will sit. He will sit. It will be very difficult for him.
Despite having opposition numbers now on his side?
There's something else. There are forces arrayed against this government, as ably demonstrated by Gen Zs. They have the energy. Young people have the energy, the recklessness. They don't care because they are young. And that's why they are always the vanguard of a revolution. They are always the people fueling the revolution. Any revolution in the world, minus young people, it's nothing. They must be there. They don't even care. Which mature man could have gone to parliament there with all those guns?
But a few months...
And those guns are not having plastic bullets. People are being killed. The young people will still go. Who could brace those funny, what do you call those things? Water cannons. Carrying those, the liquid that is very poisonous almost. But those guys can go. That's youth. Vijana. They are the ones who cause every revolution to happen. Now, it so happens, as it did it happen during Gen Z, it is always the youth just are restless. That Gen Z thing was organic, spontaneous. The only thing you could say, they were very good at organizing. Organizational capacity and power. And using technology and all that thing. But let me tell you, there's one missing link. Those who are saying this thing was funded, they are asking for it. So you create a group of people with the resources to fund this thing. You can go, you'll go home.
We could see a mother of all protests in the near future.
2027, Do not create people angry enough to fund these young people and to help them organize financially. You'll get into trouble. But
from the optic of president's allies, a few MPs allied to the president, they believe Gen Z was just but a passing cloud.
That's fine. Everybody has said that. Even in this country, Moi was a passing cloud. And he did 24 years at State House.
And now Gen Z leaders are pitted against each other.
We have enough history in our heads to know that many things have been dismissed. Many movements have been dismissed. 3, 6 people, 3, 5, 6, 7 people invade a police station and wage a war against a country, Angola, or something like that. And people say it's a joke. 30 years they were still there, harassing the government. Some religious fanatic, somewhere in Uganda, a woman, you think it's a joke. 20 years harassing a government. Don't dismiss people who are determined to give you trouble. Even in your house, one of your children just determined to give you trouble. Don't dismiss it.
You somehow are convinced that by impeaching Gachagua, we are making him a political kingmaker in the near future.
Yeah, and creating unnecessary trouble.
a monster in the making?
Yeah, unnecessary trouble. Why do you think some government, if you look at history, why do you think countries were justified to hit other countries because of transgressions and they didn't beat them? When you read history, why didn't they beat this country? Why didn't they flatten it? One lesson history will teach you: don't go out of your way to create enemies. And in real life, it works. Don't go out of your way to create
Enemies.
Don't bend over. Don't break your back trying to create friends, trying to please people. But one thing for sure, don't do. Don't try to create enemies. A time will come you regret. Why did I go for Gachagua?
So for
Why is life so difficult for me today? This election was supposed to be a walkover for me. I'm not sleeping. The last time I slept was 8 days ago. Over an election I would have won without even campaigning.
aside the president, you're saying there's need for our political class and even us not to be out of our ways to make enemies.
Yes, even at a personal level.
For legislators who are keen to take the front row seat on Gachagua's impeachment,
Yes,
talk of Oscar Sudi, Didmas Barasa, and Kimani Ichung'wah,
Yes.
what is your word for them?
They are making enemies for nothing. Because you'll be enemy to Gachagua's people and to Gachagua's friends.
But you have the immunity of the president.
And the president is just one individual. You do not know, you don't interact with the president all the days of your life. Let me put it simple, and it has happened to me. I want to teach these young fellows,
sure.
these MPs, some of them who are just ignorant.
They're now close to power.
What do I mean by creating enemies? One day, I wrote a very powerful article in the newspapers because I was annoyed about the first 844 cohort who did very badly.
Spectacular failure?
Your entry to university then was B when 844 started. Going by that, some provinces could not even give 2 students.
Failure.
That's how they lowered from B to C+. There was mass failure, followed by a serious thing at the university in engineering, where every student failed. Again, I wrote a very powerful letter. Let's begin with the smaller one, the university. Faculty of Engineering almost burnt me alive. It's on record. On record.
That you are rocking the boat from inside.
Let me go to the one I'm talking about for MPs. I said in that article, the reason why we are not able to handle 844 was simply because it was new. Any novel situation, any new situation requires critical minds. People who are not well educated, people suffering from intellectual poverty, always resist change, and they cannot manage change. And therefore, 844 called for some innovative thinking. But then I said, unfortunately for us, we have made the teaching profession a profession for failures. And that was the title the editor chose.
A profession for failures.
Yeah. Because the teachers are not the best we produce in the system. First, with a new situation like 844, they will take a number of years for them to understand it, for children to begin passing. And even this B, there will be students with B who will not qualify. And for how many years did that happen after that? For many years, B could not take you to university until again recently when Matiang'i came. Why did I run into trouble, and why am I warning people not to be careful about what they say? I explained why teaching had been left to be a profession for failures. I said at university level, people who do not get their dream careers of law, of medicine, what do they end up doing? BA and BEd. So teaching at the university level is for people whose hand could not stretch high enough to touch what career they wanted to do. How do you describe that? It's a cause for failures. Then I went to A level. I said, A level, those who don't make it to university, and have done A level, those days A level was coming to an end, are the ones who are teaching most of the schools we used to call Harambee schools, being paid by Board of Governors. Okay? Then I went to P1. I said, who is the P1 teacher? It's the person who could not make it to Form 5.
That is the P1 teacher?
Yeah. And that's the person who then we give teaching. It's a failure. In other countries, teaching is a preserve of the best. So one S student goes for medicine. Another S student goes for engineering. Another S student goes for teaching. In fact, it's much more difficult to enter teaching than do engineering. But the point was missed. My children paid for it. Up to these days, I look at my children, and I was naive enough not to know the consequences. Teachers took it so personal, and they knew me. My children suffered. Up to now, I can look at my children, the life they live, I can take it back to those days when teachers descended on my children.
Ghosts from the past.
Yes. So, even these MPs, be careful. Because you see, at the end of the day, and this is something small people don't understand, we are all human beings. A human being is very easy to injure because a human being is a psychological bundle. That's why it's very easy to injure people. That's why relationships have a lot of hurt. People get hurt in relationships.
Fragile beings.
Because we are fragile. We are just a bundle, a psychological bundle, each of us. And we are so fragile, it's very easy for people to hurt you. So when you step on somebody, even just from a tribal point of view, you innocently think me, I'm a Kisi, I'm Osora, and I'm harassing Gachagua. You don't know what some Kikuyu doctor is feeling.
Kicking a man when he's down.
You don't know the teacher to decide your child's future is a man so tribal and is a Kikuyu. He feels so bad. Yet in his hands is where you land when you are a patient in hospital or you are a child in school. That is the genesis. That is the reason behind my saying in life I have learned, perhaps the hard way, don't go out to create unnecessary enemies. Because you don't know when you will encounter somebody. I will not mention a judge. I will be very careful so that nobody knows.
All right, scat around.
There was a judge who did something in this country to a group of people. Now people know what I'm talking about, but I'm trying to avoid things. And then she went somewhere where those group of people were. That thing has haunted that judge.
To this date?
Because I know she even came to be our student for postgraduate at the university.
To this day?
Yes. Yes. Don't be very careful what you do. Don't be afraid to do your job. No. You must be courageous. You must do your job without fear or favor. That's what it is, eh?
Yeah.
The only thing I'm warning again is do not engage in activities that create enemies and where it's not necessary. Because by very natural way, in a very natural way, some jobs attract enemies. If you are a judge, you will not fail to sentence people because they'll be annoyed. You'll have to sentence them. Some of them, you'll even send them to hang or life imprisonment.
Speaking truth to power.
Yeah, or if you are a politician, you'll have to say something that are painful to people. Or if you are in my position, not everything I say please people. Some of the things I say don't please people. But it's in my terrain.
Yeah.
But have you ever heard me going out of my way to attack an individual? I don't do that. Because I know you don't know when you'll need that individual. And that's, to me, is what this impeachment is about. To the President of the Republic of Kenya. Go ahead and impeach him because you have the numbers. But be careful of the sort of backlash you receive from the most powerful community in this country. It is the most powerful community.
It ain't enough to have the Njurin Chege by your side.
No, it's not. Moi can tell you, if you talk to him quietly, if you can take a bus to where he is, he will tell you, sorry to speak like that. It is not possible to govern this country if you ignore the Kikuyu and the Luo. It's not possible. It's not possible.
They can't place
it. It is not possible. It is simple. For now, a time will come when the Luyas will wake up because they have the numbers Moi spent all his time dealing with that issue. Luo Kikuyu.
For 24 years.
80% of his energy and resources went to handle that problem, to be able to rule for 24 years. And I want to invite the President of the Republic of Kenya to think twice before creating unnecessary enemies from the mountain. He will thank me one day.
He'll thank you later.
If he put this thing on hold,
you'll be vindicated at some point.
He say, I think he could even call me and offer me a cup of tea. Because what I'm saying, I'm not saying on behalf of anybody. I'm just saying because I've lived long enough to know a few of those things.
More of Professor Manyora, the political prophet.
But people say, Manyora, what you say come to pass. You wait 2027, when Ruto will be panting and huffing across this country, looking for votes.
Won't be a walkover?
Oh, it will be terrible.
Son
He
of the
could
church.
get, I'm saying he can win, but I'm saying the struggle will just be too much, for nothing.
Well, there you have it. That point takes us to the wrap of today's conversation discussing the future of our Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, and also what his impeachment that he's staring at would mean for our President William Ruto. Until we meet next time on Richard Mwenja Exclusive, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Engage me at Mwenja Richard on TikTok and on X as well. Get Herman Manyora at H Manyora on X and on TikTok as well. Until then, do enjoy the rest of your viewing.